Hey everyone, welcome back to She Blurs Podcast. I'm your host, Brooke Wright, and today's guest is Allison. Hi, Allison.
Hi, thanks so much for having me on.
Thank you so much for being a guest. So, can you tell our listeners what inspired you to become a writer?
A lot of things. I think I've always been a storyteller ever since I was little, even though my parents probably didn't want me to be. uh, but now I actually get paid to be a storyteller, so I
Nice.
have definitely gone up the food chain, which is great.
Nice. Do you remember your first story you ever wrote?
Yeah, so essentially I wrote it when I was 4, which is hard to believe, right? But apparently it was about the monster in the closet. It was a terrible horror story, you know.
So, do you have like a specific like writing routine or ritual you do?
Not especially. So, I'm one of those. I'm happy to write anywhere. Of course, I have my preferred location in my office, away from the chaos of my family. But yeah, I can write anywhere. Yeah, I find stories everywhere. So, I'm happy just to sit down, like in a coffee shop, on a park bench, at home, anywhere.
Nice. So, how do you handle writer's block?
I tend not to have it. I tend to have several projects going at once. So, maybe if I was just working on one project, it would be a problem. But if I get bored with a project, or if I'm like, oh, this character, I can't talk to this character today, I can hop over to something else. And so it's a change is as good as a rest, pretty much.
Nice, nice. So this is a question outside of the questions I was gonna ask you, but oh man, how did it leave my mind that fast? Because I just had it. Um, so we'll just get to the next question, and I'll wait until it comes back to me. So, what sparked the idea for the author versus AI challenge?
Well, I was basically talking to a friend. I do ghostwriting, so
Oh,
I tend to write a lot to a deadline, so I have to write pretty fast.
oh,
And my friend was like, "Well, why are you writing books for other people? You should use your powers for good and write write some more books under your own name." And I was like, "Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense." And at the same time, we had been talking about AI and how it's sort of creeping into the creative sphere. And right now, I think it's full blown in the creative sphere in a lot of ways.
oh yeah.
And so he was like, I bet you're the only one who could actually write almost as fast as AI. And that sort of spawned the idea like, oh, maybe I am, maybe I can. Without using AI, I bet I can write a whole bunch of books, and hopefully they'll be much better than AI could ever produce. So that sort of took me off there.
Wow. You're right. AI is taking over, but people think that they can use like AI in school. And I'm not
Oh,
going to
yeah.
lie to you. I tried to do it and you can't because they run your papers through like this AI thing and it tells you if it's AI or not. So you'll definitely fail in school if you try to use AI. So you're right with AI taking over and stuff. So,
Yeah, it's scary where people are trying to use it. And
oh, yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. So what's the most difficult part of writing 34 books in 1 year without AI?
Um, there were some challenges. First of all, it took a ton of preparation. So I did full chapter by chapter outlines ahead of time. I did character sketches. So I was spent, even though I only spent most of a year writing the actual books, I spent half a year beforehand preparing, coming up with the story ideas, all of that. So that was a bit of a challenge to do. But on top of that, just writing so fast. Normally for like my ghostwriting projects, or if I'm working on a project for myself,
Mhm.
I would have a break in between. You know what I mean? So like after you finish a book, then you edit it, then you send it off to your editor, or publisher, and they take. So there are breaks in between the process. This
Mhm.
was just nonstop. So I think it might have been week 4, week 5. I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know what character, this character from this previous book, I'm still thinking about them and I got to focus. So I started to mix up the characters a little bit. So I'm glad I had all that preparation ahead of time, or I don't know, I would have been lost. So
34 books in 1 year. Like, I'm still not over this yet. Like, I'm still in shock. So, what did you learn about yourself as a writer throughout that project?
um then I could do it. So, I mean, um, it it was fun, it was challenging, and it made me think that the only one holding yourself back is you, really. So like go for those crazy projects and see if you can do it. And granted, my goal was actually not 34 books. My goal was 52 books, to do it for a whole year,
Oh,
and do a book a week. So technically I failed.
oh wow.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know. Like, it sounds like
yeah.
a
But
great achievement.
yeah, it's a great way to fail, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So you're making me want to go ahead and write my one little book. See, at 34 books, it might take me a whole year to write my one little book, but I think I'm gonna do it. I think you're giving me like
You
hope and like.
can. 100% you can. Yes.
So let me ask you a question. These are the questions outside of the question I was gonna ask you.
Mhm.
So when you first start like preparing for your book, do you do like a outline or like a web, or do you like how do you like I'm trying to figure out how to word it. Like how do you put into words like your characters and the development and the settings and stuff like that? Like how do you do that?
Okay. Well, for this project in particular, part of my goal was to write in every genre that I could possibly think of. So I
Okay.
started actually out with the just the genre, so something like science fiction dystopian, and then I would sort of come up with an idea that was about just about a paragraph, like just who the protagonist was, who the antagonist was, and what challenge they faced. And then I would expand that to a chapter by chapter outline, and sort of add in, like this side stories, the side characters. I'd do a character sketch after that, all the main characters, all the side characters I could think of. And then the last step sometimes, and I didn't do this for every book, sometimes I did it later, but was to actually look on the internet and find what I thought the characters would look like. So then when I was actually writing in a short amount of time, and I did this for sometimes for buildings or locations too, I'd have that image in front of me and be able to describe it consistently, which was super helpful, because again, if you're in a time crunch, you need to be consistent, and so you're not going back and doing a lot of editing, which I didn't do. I didn't do editing as I was writing. I just wrote the book, moved on to the next book because I didn't have time.
Okay, okay, that sounds nice. And what would you prefer? Like, would you prefer like writing all your stuff on the computer, or do you handwrite it?
Oh
Like, or
no,
do you
definitely
do
the
both?
computer.
You definitely on the computer.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm a slow handwriter.
so let me ask you a question. Some people prefer computer and some people prefer writing. What happens if your computer breaks down? Like, do you have a backup for it? Like, in case?
Um, I mean, I can write longhand, and in fact, I also write poetry. So
Oh.
sometimes I like to write that longhand. Like I'll go. That's when I'm usually going away from my office. I'll go to a beautiful location, like the river valley or something. I'll take my notebook and I'll just write. I'll write whatever inspires me. But yeah, so I'm happy to write longhand. It's just, to me, it's so dang slow because I'm slow. So typing is much faster.
So, what's your biggest takeaway from the experience?
Um, Basically that, just shoot for the moon. And again, you might not make it. Like technically I failed, but I feel like I succeeded in taking a stab at it. So yeah, like I feel emboldened to actually go for whatever I want. And yeah, I might not succeed, but at least I tried. And that is part of the important part of it.
Yeah, you're gonna make me want to do something like that, like challenge myself. Like I
You
really
totally
am
should.
in my mind. It's like you should do it too. Like I don't know why my mind is telling me to do the same thing, But yeah.
Well,
Would you ever
sometimes we're our own worst enemies, like we're like, oh, that imposter syndrome, the voice in the back of your head saying,
Yeah.
you can't do this, you're not good enough. But you won't know until you try. You got to try, and you can fall flat on your face, and that's okay. Just pick yourself up and keep on going.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So would you ever do this again? Like ever write that many books again in 1 year?
Um, I would. I actually had applied for a fellowship to try to do this again. I didn't get the fellowship, but I will definitely keep
Oh.
that on my radar as something that I would try again. Granted, again, since I didn't complete all my books, I still have, if I can do the math right, I think I have 18 um, books already all fully outlined, ready to go. So
Oh,
those are in my back pocket. And if I could always add to them in the future, and get started again, but probably
yeah.
not for a while. I think I'm I'm a little bit
Oh,
tired after
oh,
doing this last year. So yeah, I don't think I'll do it anytime soon, but maybe in a
oh,
year or two.
man, I'm gonna read a few of your books. I'm gonna read your books because, yeah, you have a great mind. I think, like,
Oh, thanks.
so, so how did your readers respond to the no AI concept?
Um, People seem to like it. I had a lot of people say, like you say that, wow, this is inspiring. And that was part of the reason for doing this, because before I did this project, when AI came up in the conversation, I don't know if you felt the same way talking to other writers, um, but people were depressed. They were like, "Why should I write a book?" Especially new writers. "Why should I write a book if AI can just do it for me? Like, what's
Yeah,
the point?" And I wanted to show that there is a point, that it's the love of storytelling, which is the point. Like, I would do this even if I none of these books ever got published. Like, I love to tell stories, and that's part of the human aspect of it that AI just misses.
yeah, definitely, definitely, I agree. So I wanted to talk about the new empire. What inspired you to write the new empire?
Actually, I don't know if you feel the same way, but um part of where my stories come from is just from reading. And so I read everything. I read scientific journals. I read like latest news articles. I read other books. And so this actually came from reading an article about the fact that there's some archaeological evidence that the Chinese Empire hundreds of years ago had actually landed on the coast of South America.
Oh,
Yeah, so the events that take place in my book, saying that they came over and they established permanent trading ties, it could have happened. It really could have, if they had continued sending ships over. So that just sparked the what if idea. What if it had happened? How would the world look different today?
wow. So how did you research the 18th century China and this alternate history?
Well, you can't see it, but to the left of me, I have a tall bookcase and it's full of books. And that's how I did it. So I read almost all of them
Oh,
and
wow.
skimmed a few, but mostly I read the books and sort of built this web work of how history actually happened and sort of interwove it with my what if premise.
Oh,
My background is history. I love research so much. So it was fun. It was fun to do it.
nice. So I know I'm going to mispronounce this word, but I'm going to try my best. So tell us about J. I'm going to spell it
Oh,
for you.
I can just say it. It's
Yeah, okay.
Jianxi. Jianxi.
Jiashi. Okay.
Yeah.
What drew you to his story?
Um, he I feel like he embodies sort of parts of me that are both good and bad. You know? So he's impetuous. He rushes forward without thinking a lot of times, which hopefully I've gotten over that, with being older now. But that was me in a nutshell when I was young. Like, I would just rush into things, and sometimes to his massive detriment. However, he embodies. grand ideals. He wants to help people. He wants to, uh, essentially lead his people to freedom. And so he might fall down again, talking about failure. He might fall down, but he will get up and keep trying. And I think that embodies just like the type of person we all want to be.
Yeah. So is this book found on audiobook yet?
It's not
Okay.
on audiobook yet.
Oh man. Man, definitely put it on there. I'm an
Yeah.
audiobook fanatic.
Oh, nice. That's lovely. Yeah.
So, the settings of the alternate California is fascinating. How did you develop that?
Well, I grew up in California. So I grew up with the landscape and just the intermixing of different cultures. And it's a place near and dear to my heart. So I was like, yes, I would love to set this epic tale into California way before my time, and that didn't exist. But it just really fascinated me about what could have happened in a place that I love.
Oh, okay. So, how did the theme of slavery and libertarian shape the narrative?
Um, Again, it's about a search for identity and for freedom. It's something that, you know, not to get too specific, but all of us are seeing how the world is unfolding right now and maybe might be a little bit worried about some trends. So it felt very relevant even to today's world, even though it's set, you know, in a past that didn't happen. So I think it's something that we are all struggling with and hoping for the best. And so I wanted to create that in a character who is pushing against injustice, who is pushing against repression, and see how he would handle it in his own world.
Nice, nice. So, did you face any challenges while writing the story?
It was a lot of research. And the thing with historical books, especially if people are writing them who are history buffs, like you don't want to get anything wrong. I had a friend who wrote sort of a short story that was historical, and but it had a lot of fantasy, it had magic, it had time travel, and one of her fans said, "Lovely story, but you got this part of the story wrong," and it was like an aura of a ship. So like readers read very closely, especially for things that you can go and look up. So that was a bit worrisome that I would get everything right. So far no one said this is wrong, this historically didn't happen. So far so good.
So what do you hope the readers take away from your book? Like the readers enjoyed your book?
Yeah, I hope that, again, as I mentioned, I hope readers can see a parallel to what's happening in their lives today. That this is not a new struggle. This is even though it's a history that never happened. This is something that keeps on popping up,
Mhm.
and something that we as modern readers will see in our everyday lives. So, we all need heroes to root for, and I hope that I presented that in my book in a way that connects to modern times.
Yeah, definitely. So are you planning like a sequel or a spinoff set in this universe?
I'm not right now. I do have a few books to deal with first. Yeah. But maybe someday. I mean, I feel like Gianchi's story has been told, but there were some secondary characters in that world that I would love to explore maybe in the future. They were equally interesting to me, but they didn't get a lot of screen time, so to speak, and I would love to give them their time in the limelight.
Nice, nice. Yeah. So where can my listeners find your books?
Anywhere books are sold, Amazon, Walmart.
Walmart. I'm
Yeah,
going
if
to
you, if you
Walmart.
Google it, yeah, it's available for sale online there. But yeah, just wherever you can find books, you can probably find my book.
Nice. So I want to talk about a little bit about ghostwriting and your editing. So how does ghostwriting different from writing your own stories?
Um, there is definitely a lot less freedom to impart the message that you want to impart. Although I must say I try to sneak some of that in as much as I can. Um, but yeah, you're more watched on what you put into the story.
Mhm.
So it can be a lot of fun. And one reason why I love to do it is because I do love to explore other people's worlds, and it gives me ideas too. Um, but it is also more regimented, I would say. So you have very strict deadlines, and very strict word output, um, and in a very short amount of time, generally.
Oh, wow. Nice. So what is the most rewarding part about being an editor?
I love other writers. So as a writer myself, I love to work with them. I love to, especially new writers, and I feel like a lot of editors will be like they want to work with more experienced writers because you cut out a lot of the newbie mistakes. But I love new writers. I love their enthusiasm. I love how much they of themselves they put into their project.
Mhm.
I really want to help them uh, get the story that they see in their head out on the page and then
Yeah.
out to the readers. So I just love working with other writers. I love helping them achieve their dreams. It's some of the most rewarding stuff that I've done in my life.
Ooh, okay. I might use you as an editor one day. So where can my listeners find like your website to if they wanted to hire you as an editor for them?
Yeah, you can always reach out to me. My website is AlisonMcBain.com. That's Allison with one L. And my email, my socials are listed there. I'm pretty easy to find. I don't really hide away.
So can you share any lessons learned from working with best-selling authors?
Um, Honestly, it's just like working with new authors. Granted, they have some particular ideas, and they have done their time, I guess, in the trenches. Um, but they can be just as enthusiastic, and just as excited about a new project as new authors. And honestly, I'm the type of editor or author who always feels like I can learn something new, even from someone who has just written their first story, because everyone has a different perspective. And so I love working with writers, old and new, who are just wanting to get their words out to their readers.
Yes, that's great. So what's the most unusual or unexpected book you've ever ghostwritten?
Um, I let's see. I would say I wrote something that sort of had a Western theme, which I never thought I would do. And it was a bit of a challenge. I must say that I learned a lot about cattle.
Oh, wow.
Stuff that I never knew, I never thought I wanted to know, but it was actually a lot of fun researching it, and about ranching and about the cycles. And so I did learn a ton by working on this book, and that was a lot of fun.
Nice. So what advice would you give inspiring ghostwriters?
Um, it's a learning experience, and it really helps you hone your own craft, I think. Um, but it's hard to get in, and this is one area where I feel like AI might be creeping in a bit, because one thing that people use AI for is they input their sort of outline of the story and have AI spit it out. So I don't know if AI will become good enough to replace ghostwriters. So that is one sphere where it might not be a job that a lot of people will be doing 10 years from now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, but it is worth reaching out. There are still people looking for ghostwriters today. There are some reputable companies you can work for and get your sea legs under you. So just reach out and see if there are any openings. I would definitely recommend learning that aspect of the craft under a sort of more regimented, maybe having someone who can guide you in it.
Mhm. I don't wanna sound stupid here, but I don't know what ghostwriting is. Like, what is it? Is it like whenever you write under a different name, or is it when you help write a book with someone else?
Oh, you help write a book with someone else. So essentially, and these are the different kinds of ghostwriting that I've done. So sometimes a publisher, for example, will come to me and say, okay, we have this author under contract, but they can't produce their book for whatever reason, health reason, they're blocked, whatever. So here's the book that we want to publish. And so they'll say, okay, we need to do a romance, heat level 3. It has to involve a football player,
Oh,
as one of the characters. And so then you would present them a chapter by chapter outline. You would, which would then get approved, and then you would start writing. You would turn in chapters in chunks, and they'd say, okay, well, you have to make these changes. And at the end, you'd have a finished book, edited, send it off to them, you're done. Other writers who have come to me, sometimes I work directly with the authors. So sometimes authors will come to me and say, okay, I have this sort of skeleton of idea. I want a novel of 70,000 words. I have 20,000 words. Can you flesh it out for me? Can you make it into a book? So then I would have sort of a skeleton structure that I would work with, and I would expand it, and I would add characterization, I'd add setting, I'd add, within the style of how they're writing, and I would have their example with them. And then I'd go through several editing drafts, and then they would have their finished book and then publish it. So yeah,
okay.
so there are many different ways to do ghostwriting. Sometimes it is just helping them complete the draft. Sometimes it's working from the ground up.
Oh, okay, okay. I felt so stupid. I was like, "What is ghostwriting exactly?"
No, no worries. It's very niche. It's very like a top part of publishing and writing that a lot of people don't talk about. I'm happy to talk about anything, so I can definitely, yeah, I can definitely sympathize.
So, what was it like placing in the 3-day novel contest? What is the 3-day novel contest?
Well, sort of like what it sounds like. So, before I did my author versus AI project, my friend, who helped me come up with the idea, was like, you know what? Have you heard of this? It's over Labor Day weekend. You write a novel. And it's more a novella. It's about 20 to 30,000 words. And in those 3 days, and then you send it off, and they judge it, and then they publish the number one choice that they have, the first place.
Mhm.
And he said this would be great if you entered it, if you placed, to sort of give authenticity to your project that you're doing. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm always game for something new. And so I entered. And it was a lot of fun. I think my finished book was 22,000 words or something. I sent it off. Um, and I made the long list, which was awesome. And then they informed me that I had come in third place, which is, for a first time entering a contest, I'm over the moon about. But yeah, it was a lot of fun to do. I would definitely recommend it to anyone who, is missing NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month, which is discontinuing this year. But if you ever wanted to learn if you can write fast or not, that is a good challenge to see if you can.
Wow. Wait, they're getting rid of the nano? How are you saying?
Yes, yeah,
What?
it's closing down after, I think it was 25 years, which is sort of, end of an era, but they're not doing
Wow.
it this year. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, I didn't even know that. I was gonna try to do that, try to challenge myself, but wow, I did not. What made them want to change it? Like close it down? Like was they not
There's
getting a lot of people?
Yeah, there was a lot of reasons. I mean, it's huge, and almost anyone in the writing world has heard of it.
Mhm.
But yeah, there was a lot of politics behind the scenes. I think they were losing
Oh.
money, like, so there was, it might have just become too big
Mhm.
for what it started out with, which was just a group of friends writing together,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So sometimes it happens. But yeah, they had a good run. They inspired a lot of people to write.
Yeah.
And so I feel like their influence will carry on for future writers, which is, all what all of us want. We all want to influence future writers and inspire others.
Yeah, definitely. So who are your biggest literary influences?
Oh, I have a ton. But some writers that have really inspired me. I love Ray Bradbury. His work, I feel, even after years, still has an impact on the science fiction genre. Yeah, Tanith Lee, who is a wonderful writer from the UK. She was the first writer to win the August Derleth, now the British Fantasy Award, the first woman writer to do that, and great inspiration to a lot of future writers. So, I mean, there's so many writers. I wish I could list them all because there's so many wonderful people who have come before us, and I don't know. I love them all. I'm inspired by them all.
Ooh. It's gonna like expand my book selection because I usually gear towards horror or towards like romance, but I'm gonna start exploring other like genres and seeing
Oh,
what's out
I
there.
love those genres too. Do you read Kristen Higgins is one of my favorite romance writers.
I haven't. I haven't. Is she
Oh, she's
good?
so
Is
funny.
she good?
She's so funny. Yeah, she's like the, slightly inept heroine who, sort of falls into the wrong romance and eventually ends up in the right one. Like, it's really
Ooh.
funny.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna check her out. I'm gonna check her
Yeah.
out. So what's next for you for 2025?
Mostly I've been editing. So most of my books from last year, or all of my books from last year, aren't published yet. So I've been editing them, expanding some of them that were a bit short, setting them out. One of my books that I sent out just made the long list for a contest, which is awesome.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm getting them out into the world, so that hopefully people can enjoy them.
Ooh, and I'm gonna be looking out for your books everywhere. I am, because I need to explore new authors. Because I'm like sticking to like the huge name ones like Stephen King and stuff, and I'm just like, I need to explore like not mainstream big ones like that. I want to explore, so definitely gonna do that.
Awesome. Well, if since you love horror, I'm going to plug a friend of mine. He's actually one of the most prolific writers that I know, Edward Ahern. He has, I think, 500 or 600 short stories and poems published, and
Wow.
10 or 11 books, maybe something like that. So he's a fantastic horror writer. He does gruesome things to his character.
Oh
Which
man.
is, yeah, so but he's a lovely writer.
Okay. So, are there any genres or formats that you haven't explored yet that you want to?
I hit most of them during my project. If I find them, I'm going to write them. One of my goals when I was that 4-year-old writing my first horror story, one of my goals then was like, because most writers pick a genre, stick to it, and write all books in that genre. I was like, but I love to read everything. Everything is so fascinating. So I wanted to write in every genre, and that is one of my goals as a writer, to write in as many genres as I possibly can. So if I find a genre I haven't written yet, I am going to go for it.
So, my last and final question before I let you go, Allison, is what legacy do you hope to leave as an author?
Um, Aside from people enjoying my stories, I would love to inspire future writers, just as I was inspired by some of the greats that came before. So if even one reader reads something of mine and says, you know what? I love this story and I have my own story to tell, I feel like I will have been a success. So I would love to inspire more people to tell their stories, to put them down on paper, to send them out. I believe that everyone has a story to tell, and I hope they do.
Ooh, yeah. You're just giving me so many motivation, like so much motivation and stuff. Like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Like I
Awesome.
keep
Yeah,
saying I'm gonna do it, and then I'm like, I don't know.
you can. There's no time like now. You definitely should. And I hope I'm reading your book shortly soon too.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I want to thank you so much, Allison, for being a guest today on my podcast and chatting with me.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been lovely.
You have a great day.
You too.
Bye. Hey everyone, I want to thank you all so much for listening to my interview with Allison. If you want to check out any of her books, like she said, you can find them anywhere and everywhere. So go and check them out. So I'm definitely know I am. So yeah, thank you all so much for listening, and be sure to next look out for the next interview. Thank you all so much. Bye bye.